So before I begin reading chapter 29, I hope you'll indulge me a little bit. I began this project when I first saw the trailer for Ahsoka during Star Wars Celebration in April of this year. And while I was curious about the show at the time, hearing Ahsoka utter the words heir to the Empire in that teaser trailer offended me. And that was why I decided that I was originally going to read Heir to the Empire. At the time, I didn't know if there was going to be any kind of audience for this. I certainly didn't think that I would read the entire trilogy. But for those people that have watched this series and have enjoyed it, I really enjoyed the back and forth and the feedback from all of you as I've read these novels, and it's been a lot of fun for me. And so I decided that it would be appropriate to end this series on the day of the finale of Ahsoka so that you guys could hear the end of the true Thrawn trilogy on that day. I really wanted to contrast what I would say the true heir to Star Wars, what it should have been versus what we got. And I've had a lot of fun doing this with you. I think in a few days, I will probably do another video that will talk a bit more about some of the behind the scenes stuff for the Thrawn trilogy, just little bits of trivia and things that went into some of Zahn's original thinking about the drafts. Um, After that, I might take a little bit of a break. Some of you have asked me if I would continue reading or what I would read next. My inclination has been that if I was going to continue doing this, I would probably jump to Michael Stackpole's X-Wing novels, although there have been some people that have requested that I read The Hand of Thrawn duology, which actually is also written by Timothy Zahn, jumps ahead several years in the timeline. We would be skipping some books there. What I'll probably do eventually, I think, is probably open a poll on Twitter and let you guys decide if I do go forward, what you would like to hear. And then we can go from there. That's probably enough rambling for me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. Without further ado, here's what I would call the epilogue, chapter 29 of the true episode 9, The Last Command. The sun had set beneath a thin layer of western clouds, and the colors of the evening sky were beginning to fade into the encroaching darkness of Coruscant night. Leaning on the chest-high wrought stone railing at the edge of the palace roof, listening to the breezes whispering by her ears, Mara gazed out at the lights and vehicles of the imperial city below. Buzzing with activity, there was still something strangely peaceful about it. Or maybe the peace was in her. Either way, it made for a nice change. 20 meters behind her, the door out onto the roof opened. She stretched out with the force, but she knew who it had to be. And she was right. "Mara?" Luke called softly. "Over here," she called back, grimacing out at the city below. From his sense, she could tell that he was here for her answer. So much for inner peace. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Luke commented, coming up beside her and gazing out over the city. "Must bring back memories for you." She threw him a patient look. Translation: how am I feeling about the homecoming this time? You know, Skywalker, just between us, you're pretty pathetic when you try to be devious. If I were you, I'd give it up and just stick with that straight-out farm boy honesty. "Sorry," he said. "Too much time spent around Han, I guess." "And Card and me, I suppose?" "You want a straight-out farm boy honest answer to that?" She threw him a crooked smile. "I'm sorry I even brought it up." Luke smiled back, then turned serious again. "So how are you feeling?" Mara looked back out at the lights. "Strange," she told him. "It's sort of like coming home, only it isn't. I've never really stood here and just looked at the city like this. The only times I was ever up here were to watch for a certain airspeeder to arrive or to keep an eye on some particular building or something like that. Business for the Emperor. I don't think he ever saw the Imperial City as people and lights. To him it was just power and opportunities." "Probably how he saw everything," Luke agreed. And speaking about opportunities, Mara grimaced. She'd been right. He was here for her answer. The whole thing's ridiculous, she said. You know it, and I know it. Card doesn't think so. Card's even a worse idealist than you are sometimes, she shot back. In the first place, he's never going to be able to hold this smuggler coalition of his together. Maybe not, Luke said. But think of the possibilities if he can. There are a lot of contacts and information sources out there in the fringe that the New Republic doesn't have any access to at all. So what do you need information sources for? Mara countered. Thrawn's dead. His cloning center is a shambles, and the Empire's in retreat again. You've won. We won at Endor, too, Luke pointed out. That didn't stop us from years of so-called mopping up action. There's still a lot of work yet to be done. It still doesn't make any sense to put me in the middle of it, Mara argued. If you want a liaison between you and the smugglers, why don't you get Card to do it? Because Card's a smuggler. You were just a smuggler's assistant. She snorted. Big difference. To some people it is, Luke said. This whole negotiation process is running as much on appearance and image as it is on reality. Anyway, Card's already said he won't do it. Now that those Vornskers of his have recovered, he wants to get back out to his people. Mara shook her head. I'm not a politician, she insisted. Not a diplomat either. But you're someone both sides are willing to trust, Luke said. That's what's important here. Mara made a face. You don't know these people, Skywalker. Trust me. Chewbacca and the guys you're sending out to transplant the Nagri to their new world are going to have a lot more fun. He touched her hand. You can do it, Mara. I know you can. She sighed. I have to think about it. That's all right, he said. Just come on downstairs whenever you're ready. Sure. She threw a sideways look at him. Was there something else? He smiled. You're getting good at that. Your fault for teaching me too well. Come on, what is it? Just this. Reaching into his tunic, he pulled out a lightsaber. What's this? Mara asked, frowning. It's my old lightsaber, Luke told her quietly. The one I lost at Cloud City and nearly got killed with at Wayland. He held it out. I'd like you to have it. She looked up at him, startled. Me? Why? He shrugged self-consciously. Lots of reasons. Because you earned it. Because you're on your way to becoming a Jedi, and you'll need it. Mostly, though, because I want you to have it. Slowly, almost reluctantly, she took the weapon. Thank you. You're welcome. He touched her hand again. I'll be in the conference room with the others. Come on down when you've decided. He turned and walked away across the palace roof. Mara turned to gaze out at the lights of the city again, the cool metal of the lightsaber pressed against her hand. Luke's lightsaber. Probably one of his last links to the past, and he was giving it away. Was there a message in that for her? Probably. Like she'd said, subtlety wasn't one of Luke's strong points. But if that was why he'd done it, he'd been wasting his time. Her last link with the past had been broken in the Mount Tantus throne room. Her past was over. It was time to get on with the future. And the New Republic was that future, whether she liked it or not. Behind her, she heard Luke open the roof door. Hang on a minute, she called after him. I'll come with you. And that's the end of the novel. Let me know what you all thought. I hope you enjoyed this series. I've had a lot of fun doing this with you since April. I look forward to talking to all of you again real soon. Bye.